I'm joined by Austin Parks, a senior co-captain of the Calvin men's basketball team, and we're talking a little bit about your journey first and foremost, about how you got to Calvin College. You're out of the southwestern part of the state of Michigan, Niles, and let's just talk a little bit about what piqued your interest in becoming a Calvin College Knight and how that whole process played out.
Yeah, so we had a former player at Niles whose name was Danny Rhodes, and he was a senior when I was in 7th grade, and I knew he came to play basketball here. But after that, I didn't really know too much about Calvin until going into my senior year of high school. My AAU coach got in contact with Coach Van de Streek, and then Van de Streek and a couple of the assistants started coming to some of my games. And I actually didn't know until the June going into my freshman year here that I was going to come. Quite honestly, it came down to my open house. I got a present from one of my neighbors, Mrs. Majerick, who had already made me some Calvin Knight towels. And when I opened that up, you know, I just kind of was like, hey, this is it. I'm going to Calvin, and that's when I decided right there.
We're going to move on to the academic side of things now. And you're a psychology major. You have minors in Spanish and also kinesiology. I know that you work very hard in the classroom and it's very important to you. Why did you choose the fields that you're in right now? And talk a little bit about your academic experience, what it's been like to interact with the professors and some of the things that you've had a chance to do here at Calvin College and what you would like to do down the road with your academic background.
Yeah, absolutely. Psychology, I knew pretty early on that whatever I ended up doing, I wanted some aspect of that to be involved in it. And so early on, I kind of flirted with a lot of different options. I think one of the great things about a Calvin education is that with that liberal arts aspect of it is that you get to experience a lot of different things, and I'm someone who loves to learn, and so different classes that I took, I couldn't find one that I didn't enjoy, and so a lot of the beginning of my career at Calvin was trying to figure out what do I enjoy the most and what can I see myself doing for a prolonged period of time. With kinesiology, as an athlete, you can probably understand that I was just interested with the material at sports and the way that those things work and what goes into that was just something that I had a passion for, but didn't necessarily see myself going into. And then with Spanish, I thought it was just awesome that with this field of study, I opened myself up to being able to interact with a whole different demographic of people. And although in high school I didn't like it too much, when I got to Calvin, I think there were some transformational professors who really brought that passion out in me, and that's kind of what changed me. As far as going into the future, I see myself going to grad school within the next couple of years here. And so in the meantime, I'm hoping to do some sort of research, whether that's here in Grand Rapids or West Michigan, or perhaps even in Washington, D.C., where there's a lot of opportunities to do some applied research. And that's really where I found my passion. So
let's transition over to the athletic side and your experience as a Calvin men's basketball player. You've been a part of 3 teams that have gone on to the NCAA tournament, 3 teams that have won the MIAA tournament title, and a couple of MIAA regular season championship teams. There's been some fantastic finishes, some big crowds, some great atmospheres. And I'm sure that's not the only thing that goes into some of your memories here as a basketball player. What are some of the things that come to mind? What are some of the things that you will cherish and take with you when you look back on your Calvin men's basketball career?
Yeah, that's tough. There's been a lot of great things I've had happen in the past 4 years. A couple memorable ones, obviously the 2 big trips out to Los Angeles that we took my sophomore year and then to Las Vegas about a month ago. All the 2 Sweet 16s we went to, all the NCAA tournaments. I'd probably say my sophomore year we played against the #2 team in the nation, UWash in St. Louis, and that was a very memorable game. I know that we stepped out on that court, you know, a big underdog, and we came out on top to make it to the Sweet 16. And then last year, our conference tournament championship game when Jordan Brink hit that huge shot. Obviously, it doesn't get any better than that, especially against Hope in such a big rivalry game with the implications of going to the NCAA tournament on the line.
Hey, that's a good run. Let's stay with it. Got a little rest.
yeah, well, the first thing that comes to your mind is just specific games that just are vivid in your mind, whether it was for a good thing or a bad thing. There were those games that just transform you and make you a different person, a different player, and I've had plenty of those. But I think that as I get older, when some of those things begin to fade, the things that won't fade are going to be the relationships and the players that I had the opportunity to be with. I think Austin and I have been lucky to find ourselves in a situation in Calvin basketball where we've played with some of the greatest players around through the years, and I look back at some of the great accomplishments that Calvin has had, and some of the players that I had the opportunity to play with are mentioned among those names and stuff like that. And so I think it's the relationships that I've built with those guys, and to be able to be proud and say, hey, I played with that guy, I played with this guy, and we had some great success together.
Just to wrap things up, it's been great to talk to you guys. about your time here. And when you look back on your career, both as a student and as an athlete, if you had to boil everything down to one sentence to describe what that experience has been like, what would your sentence be? Austin, why don't you go first?
I'd probably just say it's been an incredible ride. Quite honestly, I came in not knowing too much about Calvin, not knowing too much about the history of Calvin basketball. And over 4 years, I've made a ton of great friends. I've had a ton of incredible memories, basketball moments outside of basketball with those guys. Just very fortunate to be here. I'm really thankful for the past 4 years.
And for you, Jordan?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do for me with exploration of myself and how the context of Calvin College has added to who I am as a person and who I will be in the future on and off the basketball court.
Thank you.